got the cuff selected, I want to do the waistband as well. So I'm going to click back on here and make sure I'm selected the hoodie. As we were saying over here, the hoodie. Make sure the white hoodie is selected, and you're going to come in and you're going to do the same thing again with the waistband. Just trying to get it as evenish as possible. Now this technique will work with anything that you want to select. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hood. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dress. It could be anything that you choose to select. So I'm going to keep on going around here doing the hood. Looks like we may have a bit of a problem because I can see this line here where it's not selected quite right. Right, we're going to go around. Need to be a bit better with my mouse. I think we might have to layer that by image size. Right. Okay. And you'll now have your fully thing, and you're going to do select from path, edit, copy, edit, paste as new layer, and you'll see if I move that up, I'll call that waistband. And if I need to do layer to image size, make sure that is layered to image size as well, make sure everything is more or less the same. Now you can do what very similar to what Photoshop does, which is it has this feature called linking, so that these will always be linked, and that's what the equivalent of a smart object, and these links will keep all these objects together so that they will always stay in the same zone and plane and all that lot. But what we want to see here is if I minimize all that, now you will see that I have just cuffs and a waistband. So I'm going to select none, and just using that tool to click away, and you'll see that I now have those. So if I want to have the cuffs differently and the waistband a different color, so I might want to have just a waistband in black, say, and the cuffs in white, you can choose them as different colors, or you can do what I'm about to do, which is to merge them down. And the merging them down will now give you the three objects together. So you've got just all the waistband and the cuffs. So if I want to just, you can see that that's different, and that's all just white because the hoodie is missing because we cut it out. So if I take away that, we've got the cuffs. Right. So what I've done in the past to just do the arms, say, I would just select just the arm and just the arm again, and I'd create another layer exactly like we did before, where we merge them all down so that we have, like we do with the cuffs here, and we're going to have, you can have the hood and the arms selected separately, create a new layer, create the hood, new layer, merge them all together, and you'll have arms and hood together as a separate object down here, and the hoodie itself can be fully done with the different cuffs, all sorts. So if I don't want to have just the same basic hoodie, right, there we go. So there's the cuffs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just do the inside hood as well as a separate layer. So each layer can be coloured differently and used differently with a different overlay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the hood inner here and create exactly the same steps that we did for the cuffs to create them, and I will probably keep it as a separate object in case I want to do a patterned inner hood. But the cuffs will generally be the same because I don't know about you, but I tend to use the same colours for cuffs. Right, so what I can show you now is a very quick technique. I've got some colours here. If I change that to, say, purple, and that's our foreground colour. So if I go here and create object, and I've got foreground colour, it will create a purple overlay, right, which is fine. Right, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do normal mode. This is mode, multiply, and you'll see they become purple. And if I zoom in on them, and this is because this is the next layer down below that this is multiplied to. So this will multiply down. So if you see, everything will go purple. But you won't see that because we're going to merge it down. So if I did that, everything's purple. So if I minimize all those, you'll just see the cuffs going purple. Okay. And we can move that up and turn it on, everything's white. So I'm just going to bring it back down there. Right. So once I've done that, you can see that there's sort of a little bit of colour, but it looks very two-dimensional. So I'm not a great fan of how that looks, because it just needs to be a bit better. So what I tend to do is come up here to colours and curves when it eventually comes up. Okay, she's having a moment. Oh, sorry, I'm selecting on the wrong one. Here we go. Colours, curves, and I'm going to just spend some time adjusting it so that it looks a bit more like you'd expect. And maybe adjust some of the brightness and the contrast. And you see that's a bit dark, so I might just bring that up a bit, and you can see it make it brighter. Stuff like that. So quite often what I find I do is just go into the shadows because I want more shadow showing, just so that it looks a bit darker on these darker colours. Okay. So that is how I've done the colour of my cuffs. So if I now then go layer, merge down, you'll see you've got that as now a purple object. And if I bring that back in, we've suddenly got purple cuffs on our white hoodie. So that's how you do a basic colour merge to create a different one. So at that point I could have also had this hood lining here showing, and you can see that if you bring it all back, you've suddenly got the hood a bit different. But because we've got this under hood here, if I get rid of that and just do this, you'll see there's a bit of a white line, and that's tend to get that because of you haven't been very accurate with your selecting originally. So, but you can fix that because you can just sort of go up here, clicking on your object, click on that, tools, transform tools, scale, and you could sort of scale your object. Can't really see it terribly well at the moment. There we go. Right, and I could just grab out the thing, and you can see I can just sort of move it around a bit and scale it so that it fits and gets rid of a little bit of the overlay. Yeah, so you get the general idea. Right, I'm going to reset that. I'm going to get rid of the scale, and I'm going to back out all my changes because I don't want the purple. I was just showing you how to do it. So if I get rid of the layers, get rid of that, make it normal, and then that will get rid of that, and then delete it. And we're back to our boring hoodie. So you can see I've created a completely white one, which was probably unnecessary. So what I might do is get rid of that and duplicate that and call that one background. Oops. Okay, now ignoring the fact we've got the cuffs in the hood, I'm going to drag the cuffs down one. I'm going to get rid of all of the background and bring us back to our hood, our hoodie. Right, so if I grab one of my repeats like this, oops, trying to click on it, and go edit, copy. You don't have to select it, you can just hit edit, copy, and then just Control V it in place, and then I can create a new layer. So over here I would just click down here on new layer and just edit, and then what I tend to do here is scale it. So I will shift, I'll do some bit of opacity so I can see what's going on back there. and I will drag it down to what I think is about the right scale, and I'll scale, and then I will layer to boundaries image size so that it all's correct. Bring back the opacity, and you can't see the hoodie anymore, but that's fine. You'll see in a minute what I'm about to do. So that step I showed you before of laying over a colour, if we now move it and go normal multiply, you'll see all of a sudden we've got a hoodie. Okay, and that's quite darkish. So what I tend to do here is have another go at the curves and spend a bit of time sort of adjusting what I think is about the right colour, like we were doing with the other. And you can see you're getting a bit more shadow. And there you go, it's looking quite normal and natural now. So if I then go and bring back the cuffs, but bring them back up to the top, you'll see we've got white cuffs. And what I was talking about before, where you could take the insert of the hoodie. So if I get rid of the background, it's back to white, because the background has not been merged yet to the hoodie below. So at the moment, that's a white hoodie, and it can just stay as a white hoodie on a white background. And if I bring that back, you notice that the overlay is on the whole lot, including the background, and the reason for that is because of the fact you haven't merged that down to be part of this object here. So if I now go and click the background and say merge down, you will now have a full hoodie object only. So if I bring the cuffs back, you'll see they're white, they're a separate layer. So I could now go and save that as is, or I could put these on and do that object that we did before, which is creating the different coloured cuffs. So if I come up here and say, I've got my blue hoodie there, if I get in nice and close, I find a bit of blue, I selected my blue up here. Maybe I'll just zoom out a bit so you can see my finger. Right, so just zoom it out. Okay. Right, so you'll see over here I've taken the blue, so you get a general idea. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back out, and I'm going to add a foreground colour, because that's my foreground colour. Do the same steps we did before. I'm going to drag that back up above the cuffs, and I'm going to go normal, multiply, and it will make them everything blue. But that's okay, we'll just leave them blue. And I'm going to adjust the shadows again so that it's a little bit darker. I get to see the shadows a bit cleaner. Okay. Right. And then I'm going to merge down. We're going to now have blue cuffs of a similar colour. And we could adjust it before we merge down here. So if I took away that, you can still see the separate objects. And if I put them on there, hello, we have a blue hoodie with stuff. And if I now go and adjust this, I can make this slightly a lot brighter, so I can go to the curves. And at the moment we are still selecting just the cuffs. So I can adjust these so they're slightly brighter and more in line with it. And if you want to, you can do that at the same time as looking at that. So you can see that's a slightly better colour. And at the moment, we still have a, you know, the hood is pretty much the same thing, and it's kind of all blurred out and mushed together. And that's why I prefer to sort of keep this different and adjust it in there. But you can see how you've now created a pretty decent realistic mock-up of a hoodie with very little steps. So I'm going to back away now and send this to you, and hopefully you'll figure it out from there. All right, bye.